Talking Tuesday. It's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Talking Tuesday. Show you how to do it right.
Yo, welcome to Talking Tuesday, where we have real cannabis players speaking on real cannabis issues. We don't fake and shake at this show, so if you want to hear some of that pretty stuff, you done tuned in to the wrong place. But if you want to get the real deal, Holyfield, yeah, right here. Uncut, live, direct, unapologetic. We ain't politically correct. The hell with the politics out the window. So we have a Keith to my left, Marco to my right. We have a special guest in the house. I would like for you just to introduce yourself to the community we have out there and tell them about your product.
Yeah.
Tony Lit in the house, straight from San Diego. Came out here to introduce Strictly Lit to you guys.
That's what's up.
Right on.
That's what's up.
So the brother is here from the SD, Strictly Lit. Want y'all to go check it out. Some great product. He has a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
we talking from cannabis to alcohol as well.
Tequila.
Tequila. Okay.
Man, look at that. Got the tequila in the house. So all y'all tequila lovers out there, your man right here, now our man right here with the tequila and the cannabis. That's a great combination. Even though, we can touch on that.
You know me. You know my stance.
They don't want us to mix the two,
right? You know my stance.
But let me tell you something.
I'm pro.
Hey, a good glass of wine and a spliff. Oh, I'm straight.
Nice,
you know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. The spliff in the glass of wine, or with Tony Lit in the house, some tequila. You know what I'm saying?
Have me a little mezcal or a little tequila, man, and I'm good with a little blunt or something.
A sipper of some añejo.
Some añejo, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
That was the one that lasts throughout the night as a sipper.
Okay.
A lot of people are turned on to the silver, but the silver is like more of a mixer. You mix it with margaritas. And squirt and make palomas and stuff like that. But the añejos, it's more of a sipper.
Yeah,
so that's so for those out there, so that they can kind of have a description. It's like sipping whiskey, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now say that one more time.
It's aged. So the añejo is aged for 3 years.
Añejo.
Mm-hmm.
Añejo.
So añejo, for y'all out there that want to kind of understand what we talking about, it's your sipper, just like a fine bottle of whiskey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like a Pappy Van Winkle or Pappy Van Winkle or something. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for y'all whiskey drinkers out there, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Hey, Virgil, wouldn't it be nice if we could say this cannabis has been aged for 6 months?
Oh,
but they want us to throw ours away after a year now. What's up with that?
Well, the thing is cannabis is better with age. If you take your cannabis and after it has been harvested and trimmed and everything, and you stick it in a glass jar, like an old school glass jar with the screw on top, and you put that in a cool, dry, dark place, I guarantee you within maybe a month, 2 months, it's just like some fine wine. Man, that bad boy, it's going to hit hard, but it's going to be smooth.
Yeah. So Virgil, let me touch on that. The one thing people don't understand, that burping process.
Oh, yeah.
So literally, when you allow the CO2 to escape from the cannabis, you converting THCA into THC. So when the day that you harvest it, if you look and see whatever the THC, in that month's time, it's going to be done risen for that very reason, that chemical process.
And that's what they call the curing process. A lot of people don't cure their weed properly. They so in a rush to get it on the shelf, they want to try to fast. They want to try to rush it to the finish line. That's like you say, with an añejo or with the fine whiskey, you can't rush that to the finish line. You got to let that age like it does. You have to let it cure like it does. You have to let it decarb and all of the things that it does regarding that age. Because when you age something, just like even if you age some beef or something, that stuff has to sit for a while.
Cheese,
you know what I'm saying? If you get a good slab of ribs and you want to marinate it and let it sit, you don't let it sit for a couple of, you got to put that in there for 24 to 48.
Right. Let it hit
You understand
overnight.
me? You got to let it baste in that stuff. So yeah, that's what we talking about.
But
and I was thinking of real aged weed when you said aged. I was thinking of when it gets extremely oxidized because it still serves a purpose.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I'm saying? It might be disgusting in terms of flavor, but I mean, damn, you will pass out.
So you know what? Let's touch
because of
on
CBN levels, obviously, and it's a no brainer. Like, you ever try it, oxidized, it really puts you to sleep.
Absolutely.
You know.
So that's the other chemical process. When THC sits for so long, it starts to oxidize, and it will convert into CBN.
Right.
So again, a melatonin producer. So
absolutely,
it might not taste the best, but it's gonna put your ass out.
It'll put you to sleep.
Yeah, the thing is we don't know a lot about that. And I'm not saying we as us, but as the public, they don't know a lot about the components and how they those components are converted in many different ways through many different methods, being the age process, being it the heat or cooling process, being the curing process, and how that is done in the proper fashion. We're just not educated, and I say we as the public, you guys are just not educated enough to really understand that. So when you see stuff, you think that it's a negative, but it's really a positive. Like you were saying, when you see the oxidation, it's automatically, oh no, I don't want that. It's old.
Right.
No, that's real
it's now
good.
turned into something else now. And if you don't know what it's good for, you're going to think it's just trash, but it's still good for something.
Exactly, because cannabis is good for a whole lot of things. So, Tony, what got you into the cannabis industry? What was your introduction, and how did you get involved in the cannabis industry? And what time? Give us a time frame on that, or give us a
started in 2008, and it started in 2008 because my mom had cancer.
Okay.
And they gave her 6 months to live. She was diagnosed stage 4, 6 months before she was ready to go. And I was looking for something of a just to last, a little bit longer. I need more time.
Her
That's the only thing that we can't buy in this world is time.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, there was so many helpful people in the industry that really gave me that extra push. Like, don't give up. Keep going. Let's get it going. And, it really did. It helped a lot. She was awake. She was talking. She was happy. She was asking for food, all the way down to the point where hospice nurse came through and said, hey, you ain't giving her opioids. We're gonna probably prosecute this situation, and we can charge you with neglect. And a couple days later, they took her to hospice, and 3 days later after that, she passed away.
Wow.
Because they pumped her full of opioids right away, morphine, stuff like that. So I made it my mission, like, not to go against, government and stuff like that. It's not what it's about. It's my mission to help. And to keep the process going. People don't understand. We've been brainwashed for so long as a society that weed's bad, and it's really not. It's a medicine. It helps. It cures.
Exactly.
It does a lot. I help so many people till this day. And I try to make sure that there is a difference in the world instead of us just trying to make an extra buck. I get it. We got to survive. It's great, to have a certain income, but my vision is beyond that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so that's how Strictly Lit actually started.
Wow. Well, man, thank you. First of all, our condolences.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And, we appreciate you sharing that story with us, because it's important for people out there to know and understand that this isn't just about getting high all the time. No. It's not just about, getting blunted and getting weeded and getting baked. There are other reasons why people partake in cannabis, and it's always for people like myself. I know Keith is a fan of the medicinal, and Marco comes from the old school Prop 215 and SB 420 when medicinal was it, when that's what we were basing our businesses on and our movement on prior to, our street hustle, when we was just out there getting it. But it's always good to hear those type of stories. Not actually good in the fact that, someone, losing a loved one, but understanding what, you were able to do for your loved one
Of course.
in a time of need, and where I want the public to understand the contrast between holistic healing,
Yeah.
natural healing, and masking something.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the pharmaceutical companies are just masking things. They are not healing anything. And that's why people like Dr. Sabi and people like Dr. Gauss and all of these holistic healers that we have known within our community have been shunned by the pharmaceutical companies, and even been taken to court to be prosecuted for claiming, like Dr. Sabi, for claiming that he cured cancer.
Right.
And then he brought the paperwork and everything and showed that he could cure cancer.
Absolutely.
They didn't want to hear that because that's counterproductive for all that cancer medicine that they have out there that they want to, charge companies and your insurance companies an arm and a leg for.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about big business.
It really is.
They're not in the business for healing. They're in the business to make money.
Yeah.
And no matter what the cost is, it's about making money.
And Virgil, I agree with you 100%. When you look at the world economy right now, if you think about it, President Trump is saying, hey, we got to cut Medicaid because the medicine is too high, and it really ain't doing anything.
Exactly.
So you have to look at it like this. Like I always say, hey, let's look at the breadcrumbs for a second. You got Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying, hey, is something wrong with the food? There are certain chemicals in there that we consider natural additives that are causing you diabetes and cancer and some other things. Right now is the right time for cannabis, because think about this. If I was a cancer patient and I had nausea, you would give me cannabis to treat that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you feeding me poison that's causing me that same aggravation, inflammation of my gut, that same tool of cannabis can be used. But it literally comes down to the money, because if Medicaid or Medicare is using that much of, it's like 40% of our total budget. You need these alternatives to try to drive that cost down.
Absolutely.
But instead of us saying, hey, here's an alternative, we want to say, that's bad, this is good. Like, what was so critical about what you said is the only alternative they gave her was morphine, which is a derivative of heroin.
Yes.
And it's like, why shouldn't we have the opportunity for her to be with her loved ones and to utilize cannabis in a more peaceful environment? So thank you so much for sharing that, because it brings up the bigger piece. How do you want healthcare to look at the end of the day?
And that's what always, I think one of the things I always is, it's like kind of complex is like, for that to truly even be considered an alternative, the medical industry has to consider it an alternative. And what I mean by that is they don't even consider turmeric an alternative.
Yep.
They don't even consider ginger an alternative.
Yeah.
They don't even consider Silogit an alternative.
Yes.
They don't even consider a lot of things an alternative.
Absolutely.
So cannabis falls in line with all of those other things. So
Absolutely.
it's hard to push it so definitively as a medicinal thing when there are medicinal things that aren't even called that.
Exactly.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I would love for that to happen, but look at all the other things and so many other categories that are medicinal that no one tells you it is, but it is.
Exactly.
So Marco, can I say one thing to that? In this holistic market that we are asking cannabis to be open up to, every one of those things that you name are adaptogens. So we're not saying that cannabis is the fix-all. We're saying that this is a tool that can be used in conjunction with the adaptogens to help your stress, your inflammation, everything else. But literally, like you said, because they won't recognize it, it's some people out there, now think about it, Sylogy has been used for years in Eastern medicine. So for us, it's like, absolutely, I would take it. But if a person never heard of it before, they're not even gonna look at that as an alternative. So you hit it around the head that those tools should be part of our healthcare.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's definitely something that has to be looked at. Once again, and I know we've said this numerous of times, but we have to press upon the present administration to really take this up. But they're only going to take up issues that are pressing to people that speak to them. And what do I mean by that? Is that if we begin to magnify our voice within a congressional fashion, right, or to Congress, if we reach out and all of a sudden RFK Jr. is getting a ton of letters from the cannabis community, now we're on his radar.
Yeah.
But we're not flooding his email, finding out, what his email is, and flooding his chief of staff's email bank, and also sending letters.
Right.
If we had a bag of letters coming through once a month, and this cat's sitting there looking at all these damn letters and like, what the hell is this, and where is this coming from?
Yeah.
You think about how many states that have a form of legalization. And if just 25 people in each one of them states send a letter out, we got damn near 47 states that are legal.
Yeah.
In some form, medical or adult use or recreation.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Right.
over like
So if
almost
we just
1,000
have
letters.
25 people in these 47 states once a month kicking a letter to that man, just them 25 people would bring attention to the issue here. And then now, once again, cannabis is at the forefront of the conversation. You got to remember when Obama was voted into office, that was a question.
Right.
That was a
It's
question
true.
in
That
a
was
town hall meeting of where he stood on cannabis. And guess what came out of that? That cold memo, that 10-page directive telling the federal government, do not raid states that have any form of cannabis law to regulate their state, right?
Yep.
So if we give that same push that we gave back then, and that was the days of activism, or the days, that activism came out of, because Marco, you was in that. I was in that activism day. I was in the 2004 all the way up to present
That's all it
day.
was just activism.
And the activists were the owners and operators.
Right.
Now you don't have any owners and operators that are activists. You have some owners and operators that are actors, that are posers in the industry. They don't even have a clue. I guarantee you could go up to some of these big brands and ask them, tell me something about the old day that you remember. They hadn't even been here in the old day. Right. They can't even give you history that me and Marco can talk about in the cannabis industry right here as ground floor players. So you have people that, and we've always said this, if you don't know your history, then how can you prepare for your future? How can you make a brighter future if you don't know your history? Right? And so everyone who's deep rooted in their history have always been our leaders to take us in the future. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and the list goes on. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you think about the Che Guevaras, you understand me, that understood their history and where they came from. You know what I'm saying? And many different perspectives that drives. The reason why the Jewish people are so strong is because they understand their history. Now, a lot of that history may not be factual and true, but you can best believe they holding on tight to what they do have, and they continue to make sure that you are aware of their history, right?
Well, Virgil, you say they know the history, but let's give the other factors. They don't really care about the opinion of others. You're not even included in their group.
Absolutely.
See, part of we looking for affirmation from others, and we need to heal one another and look for affirmation within.
Exactly.
The other thing that I want to speak about is this. When you look at this industry and the way it's going, it's really attacking the small farmers, the small owners, because think about this for a second. I was mentioning this to you earlier. On the internet, I was looking at this on Instagram. This dude was like, man, the czars I'm getting ain't czars, right? And how can we verify? Now, as cultivators, you know how tricky this gets, right? That's why we always say real cannabis players only buy cannabis from people that they know, because they
from real cannabis players.
Right.
We ain't buying no cannabis from somebody that say, oh, man, I just started growing 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Oh, well, we know you don't know shit. Because it take more than 2 to 3 years to That's like somebody jumping into football, talking about, oh, I've been playing for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even know your craft.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It take more than 2 to 3 years. Oh, I've been plumbing for. Oh, no, man. Now, that's all right. Let me go over here.
Yeah.
How many years? 30 years? I want him plumbing on my house. You know what I'm saying? A mechanic? Oh, few? Oh, no. Shit. I need my car to work.
Yeah.
You understand me? So
Yeah.
when people come into this industry, because they take our industry as a joke and lightly, and that's how I feel personally.
Yeah.
When you come into my industry, and you're taking space within our industry, but you have no knowledge of what you really doing, it just for me, that's offensive.
Yeah.
That's like me going and trying to shoot a basketball and then calling me the GOAT. You know, that's disrespectful to the players before me,
Right.
LeBron and
Everybody.
Kobe and
A whole
Magic
list
and,
of-
you know what I'm saying?
Hey, wait, you talking about the great ones? What about just the D1s? We like, huh?
Come on, man. You feel me?
You already know,
Who
yo,
still, hey,
yo,
who
brother,
still,
like, I better not hold up.
who still put in the work? You know what I'm saying? And so that's what you get sometimes within this industry. Like that's why I call them posers and actors, because they come into the industry fronting like they are really from this industry, and ain't none of them really from this industry. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you ain't been in the trenches of this industry, you ain't from this. You jumped on you a bandwagoneer. And I'm not, look, I ain't hating on no bandwagoneers, because we got some good ones. We needed some of them during the time that we were fighting the cause.
yeah.
We needed a bunch of bandwagoneers to jump on. If you look at any fight in any cause, there are always bandwagoneers in that fight and cause that help greater that cause. And hopefully they get bit by the bug. And they become true activists within that, because everybody don't start out believing in the cause.
No.
You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, if you just picture certain things in history, everybody wasn't with that. Everybody wasn't with the nonviolent movement. Everybody wasn't with the violent movement. You understand me?
Malcolm,
you know?
wait a minute. Look, Malcolm called Martin and said, hey, man, you take one more ass whooping, I'm going to come out there myself and bust some heads. I'm sick of this shit.
Yeah, for real. And you think about it, let's look at even the riots that went down. The L.A. riot. Half of them cats wasn't in the neighborhoods pissed off about what went down.
They weren't.
They just seen an opportunity that they could jump in and get something for free.
That's how I ended up
and they
with
took
a
advantage
brand new
of the
microwave and vacuum cleaner. Step
Took it
Pop
back.
pulled back up to the crib. I was like, what this?
Hey man, hey look, I came up cold during the
Like, yo, Pop, we live in Burbank, man. You ain't had to go over there, man.
Hey, I came up cold. Hey, man, Cap pulled up to the liquor store, and he had cases of liquor. And I got my, it was on, because I know you didn't want to leave with it.
Right.
You wanted to leave with some bread, so it was time to wheel and deal. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, but getting back to what we really
That was a
talking
crazy
about
time,
is right now is the time that we should be really focusing on federal legalization. It is very important, because now is the time. This is our window of opportunity that we should not miss. We have too many things working in our favor when it comes to this administration. And I know people don't really look favorably at this administration. But if you could bank on one thing, from the head guy in this administration, he's transactional.
Yep.
He's transactional. And if there's a transaction to be made, then man, you got his full attention. Why you think he over there with the Arabs right now? Because that's
he definitely
transactional. He ain't over there, and they ain't buttering Trump up and gave him the 21 gun salute and the whole 9 yards, because that shit ain't transactional. Shit. It's all transactional.
It's all transactional.
Everything's transactional.
So look, it's two things that I do want to speak about with cannabis and where we at, and just you said federal legalization, but there's actually three things on the table. State rights.
Yes.
You know, just California ability to be able to go international or to make deals with other states. Then
In
you
other
have
countries.
right in other countries.
Because the main ports are right here in California.
right, they're right.
Yeah.
Shit,
So-
with San Diego, LA port. I mean, shit, we got the main ports right here. This is where trade and commerce come. Why do you think we are the fifth
No, now
Why-
fourth.
We're now the
Yeah,
fourth.
we
I thought
went
we
back
moved
up.
up.
Mhm.
So we went back to the fourth largest financial power in the world.
Yeah.
We didn't get
As
that
a
way.
state,
Keep,
right.
keep in mind, California. I didn't say the United
as a
States.
state.
On the world.
I said California
Mhm.
was the fourth largest financial power in the world. We didn't get there because we ain't got some value here.
So the state, right? That's number one. Number two is just safe banking. If I just gave you the ability to be able to borrow and
Hands
to
down.
use your asset to get
Lights
to the
out.
position you want to,
Here
that's
I
the
come.
second one.
It's over with.
Yeah.
Give me some money.
And then the third one would be the federal legalization. So
Absolutely.
we have, like, I always tell people that right now is that period in time that Santa Claus is coming. We know that cannabis is going to make it to where it needs to go.
Absolutely.
We need to take this moment as a reflection, like how do you want this to look in the end? Because you the pioneer. So if you're not going to say how you want them bricks laid in your vision going forward, come on now.
And that's the problem. What we ended up doing, and that's a great point Keith made, is that we took our eye off the prize.
Yes, sir.
Here in L.A., we kind of dusted our hands off and said, job well done, when we should have kept our foot on the necks of everybody that was supposed to be governing this.
Yeah.
We passed Prop 64 and said, well done, and really didn't read the fine print. And I used to always hear people say to me, the devil is in the details.
Yes.
The devil is in the details. I swear I remember that vividly when Prop 64, they said, hey, man, the devil's in the details. And I'm like, oh, the devil's in the detail. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now we are starting as owners and operators. We're seeing all of the devils in the details.
Yeah.
And we ain't liking their bit of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad you brought that up.
Virgil, let me get one other point that, because again, like I tell anyone, any new industry, the first thing you do is look at other industries that struggle, right? So the reflection I want to give you guys is this. In alcohol, it took 80 years for you to get small batch craft, neighborhood bars and stuff, right? Us knowing that, we need to be fighting for these small farmers, small craft right now, because we already know that it's going to be about who can produce this, who can get it out fast. And I keep on telling people, as a connoisseur, do you want Walgreens weed? Or would you rather have this California cannabis weed?
Exactly.
So we have to create in our visions the place for the small farmer from day one. I ain't waiting 80 years. I ain't waiting 80 years for nothing.
Nah, exactly
In
not.
this lifetime.
And
Yeah, we ain't
so,
and all of us got 80 years. That's for
nah,
sure.
for real. So what we have to do,
No.
and this is a testimony to other states, other countries, to look at the upside and the downside of cannabis, how we regulated it, how we taxed it here in California. Because California is just ridiculous with taxes. Like, we pay over $5 for gas, but I could go to Texas right now and get me some gas for $1.99, $2, $2.50, half the price of California. So I'm scratching my head trying to figure out what's different from our gas than they gas.
What's different from our road from they road?
Nothing. Except for we just paying a higher price than they are. So, we have to make sure in those states that are out there regulating, and California has to get a grip on, because let's be clear. California is the number 1 cannabis producing state in the world, period. Hands down. There is no cannabis produced more in any state than in California. There isn't one, and has been over the past 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. You know what I'm saying? That we have been producing cannabis here in California, and now we and all of the cannabis that comes from California, 85% of the cannabis from California doesn't even stay here.
Right.
85% of it is gone out. I'm talking to states and other countries.
Yeah.
The cold part about it is we in California, we don't even really get to smoke our good cannabis, not unless we getting it from the homie that grow. You know, that we know a grower that's blessing us with some of that good weed before that shit gets shipped out. We ain't even getting the good cannabis.
Right.
So now we got other folks telling us, oh man, our shit is bomb. Well, yeah, of course it's bomb, because it came from here.
Yeah.
We shipped it to your ass and we ain't got none.
At
you know
all.
what I'm
It's
saying?
true.
So we have to think we have to do a lot more when it comes to making sure that this industry, and like Keith said, what do you want it to look like?
Yeah.
Well, definitely my fight now is wanting it to look way different than what it looks like. Now, we have made strides and came far, just like we have in so many things. Technology has come far. The world has come far. You know, the way things are done has come a long way. Our rights, civil rights, everything. But we're light speed ahead of what it was back in the 60s, the 70s, the 40s, the 30s. But it's up to us to see, where do we want it to go from this day moving forward? How would we like to see it 10, 15, 20 years from now? Definitely different. I like the fact that we made strides in advance. So we got to pat ourselves on the back for that. But we ain't nowhere close to where we should be. Not even close, which means we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. But in order for that work to be done, the industry is going to have to come together once again. And we're going to have to make that push that really is going to make a difference. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be around and see that happen several times within the industry. I saw it when 1996 when Prop 215 came into play. That was the first push.
That was the first.
That was the old heads: Jack Carrere, Eddie Lepp, Ed Rosenthal, Mark Emery. These were the players that was playing back in the day that I learned from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These the farmers up in Humboldt that I watched that were Jackson them age in the 80s and the 70s and the 60-year-olds.
Yeah.
And I was just a pup coming in. I was in my teens. They set the stage for us to take over. Then we came in. So now here we come with the pre-ICOs. Here we come with Prop D and Measure M. Then we come with the social equity program. Okay, we did that. Now, and we pushed legalization, that the storefront model is now recognized as a legitimate cannabis business. That was our push. That's the era me and Marco were deeply involved in, and we were players that moved this industry in that direction. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to say, okay, job well done? No, job is still not finished. Because what we have to do, like Keith said, protect the small cultivators, the craft cannabis producers. The same way we have craft breweries, we have small wineries, all up that 101 coast, all in Napa Valley. We have those small wineries, which are actually big wineries, but small. The little cottage wineries, we have to create that for cannabis. We cannot allow big business to come in and crush what we are doing and knock us out. So it's up to us to band together and say, hey, you guys need to take this back down to the cottage grower. You released and let it get big business jump in. Y'all need to put the reins on that. Because one, they're not benefiting the growth of cannabis moving forward. That's what they're not doing. What they're doing is commercializing and bastardizing something that, like Brother Tony did for his mom.
In 2008. 2008 is a long time ago.
Let me tell you something. Big business ain't going to create a product like that. Look at Marinol. Y'all already has y'all shot at cannabis.
Right.
Create Marinol. And that don't do a damn thing for a cancer patient or somebody with leukemia. So y'all had y'all shot at it and failed.
But Virgil, like, this is the main reason why I try to get people to look at this, right? If you look at the industry right now, it's sort of limping along because you don't have any regulations. So you overpaying state taxes, and the feds haven't even jumped in. So at what point do I make my business more efficient and I get to the point where it's profitability in this business? They purposely are allowing, you know, what I call this raping, where 40% of what you're making is being taken by a silent partner. So at a certain point, what we have to do is say, allow the industry to flourish, allow the industry to get a foothold so we can serve our customers better. Me personally, when you think of a cannabis brand, a cannabis wellness brand. So, Tony, for your product and the czars that you put in there, like what's unique about that? When we could start getting down to say that our product is unique and is serving whatever the purpose is, relaxation, whatever it is, now that's an industry. And that's the part that I keep, like, cannabis is one big thing, but what are the subsets where the flows of cash can be generated from? That's literally what we got to work on.
But do you know that the industry is now changing from high percentages to low percentages?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we
Do
talked
you
about
know that they realized that high percentage crap was some bullshit?
Yeah.
We have been saying,
We've
been
been saying
saying
that
come
forever.
on, from day one. But now, people, y'all slow out there. Y'all slow out there. Better start listening to the real players out here. But we have been talking about
been saying
that.
this.
Don't mean a damn thing. A lot of those numbers are fudged. That high percentage, they done pumped it up with all kind of crap that don't mean nothing, that have no medicinal benefits when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
But you get that 17, 16%.
Yeah.
You get that 18, 19%.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go no higher than that shit, because I got some shit that's 16% that'll knock you out.
Mm-hmm.
I got some shit that's 15% that'll knock you out,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't understand the true properties of cannabis,
Yeah.
and that they work under certain conditions better, just like they grow under certain conditions better.
Yep.
It operates under certain conditions better.
Yep.
When cannabis is grown in its natural state. Because let's be clear. God did not make a plant to be grown inside,
No.
to manipulate it with nutrients of that's not even natural,
Yeah.
non-organic nutrients, artificial lighting. All that crap is not going to grow the best cannabis.
Yeah.
But when you put it in rich soil from the earth, and you give it that vitamin D, and then that vitamin D that hits that soil and creates all of your nutrients within that soil, which is all in there, your silica, your magnesium, your potassium, all of your salts, your sodiums, everything that you need to produce that plant. And yes, we do have natural amendments that we could put in.
Yeah.
Worm castings,
Kelp.
live soil with worms, which produce their own nutrients that feeds back into the soil.
Yeah.
Now you did two things at one time. Now you done grew the best cannabis in the world, and you done put back into Mother Earth.
Right.
Now I'm gonna touch on that real quick, because I've done MLMs before, and I've worked with microdermabrasion. I work with cosmetics and that type of industry too, beauty and stuff. It just hit me while I was sitting here. I think one of the only ways for you to have that crowd that truly believes in like what your cannabis does is like almost like an MLM, like Herbalife and like and like doTERRA, because I'm a doTERRA person at my home. My mother-in-law is doTERRA, so we got doTERRA this, doTERRA that, all the natural essential oils galore. I'm talking about every single doTERRA product you could probably think of we have, right? So the reason why I say the MLM comparison is because when you've done retail in this industry, as long as some of us have, this is why I say psychology is so important in this industry.
Absolutely.
Everything that we're saying is either true or false to someone.
Yeah.
The placebo effect is real in this industry.
Absolutely.
Right?
Real.
A person's going to tell you that they think they know more than you in this industry. Ignorance is bliss in this industry, right? So the reason why I use the comparison of the MLM is because the people who at least commit to things like Herbalife or commit to things like doTERRA, it's because they believe the business motto.
Yes.
They believe where the products are coming from. If this essential oil is being extracted from Brazil's blah, blah, blah with these tribal people, they believe where everything is coming from.
Or the
So these
Yohimbe
members
coming
that
from-
you have are exclusive, hardcore members to your ideology.
Yeah.
Right? Cannabis is hard for us to just convert everybody to our ideology because it's such an individual thing. That's why we come from the days where you could pull out a jar. I could pull out, that's why I tell people, Blue Dream, OG Kush and Jack Harris were some of the best to always split up, because with Jack, I could turn it into XJ13, J1, Jack Hair, Super Jack, or something else, but that's just 1 pound.
Right.
When it came to Blue Dream, I could call it Blue Dream, Dream Queen,
Super Blue Dream.
you know what I'm saying? Like I could call, when it came to OG, we had a plethora of names. So that's what I'm saying. When you have dealt with so many human beings that have come to buy things from you, and you see that sometimes they tell you what they think is better, you could give them the same product in 5 jars and they'll tell you this one's better. And it came from the same pound. But
Right.
that man is arguing with you and telling you that this one is better than these.
That's the
Exactly.
psychology.
Right? So if you're dealing with humans that work that way and are programmed that way, it's absolutely almost impossible to get them all to convert to what you're saying if they're not believing in your system, which is why I use the MLM model, because with MLMs, you become a member to an ideology. You become a member to a process. You become a member to Herbalife because you believe what they do, their health, blah, 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 right? So you're a member, and then you sell your products to your members, friends, et cetera, et cetera. Other than that, you're dealing with humans who are not going to always believe what you're saying.
And I like that what you said too, because I agree with you 100%, and that's where education and marketing merge, right? Education and marketing merge together in that aspect. Why? Because you give the education process along with the marketing process. When you talk about cannabis, right? Let's go back. There's nobody that'll argue to you where the best cannabis is grown. The first thing they're going to say is Humboldt County. Nobody will argue that fact at all. I don't care whether you stepped into the industry yesterday, tomorrow, whatever.
That's the creme of the creme.
Everybody knows that Humboldt County is the place to go to get weed. The same way in California, they'll say first thing when you say wine, they'll say Napa Valley.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there are certain things that have their place of origin.
Yes.
Their region, right?
Yes.
So we already have one thing on our side, is that everybody knows that Humboldt is the best place. What we have to do is continue to drive that narrative so deep, just like people have drove the narrative that OG is an indica. That narrative has been driven so deep that everybody believes that OG is an indica.
Yeah.
And they'll swear up and down and bet they last dollar, and I'll take it all, that OG is an indica when it's actually a sativa.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what we have to do is continue to drive that narrative and gain that overwhelming support of the industry that really believes in driving that product.
Yes.
Now, of course, you're going to fight against the indoor growers now, because the indoor growers want to keep their so-called space within the cannabis industry. But all you have to do, and like I said, I'm willing to put up a pound of my weed versus a pound of your weed, and let's have a grow out. Let's have a competition. I'll sit mine there all day. I promise you, ain't no indoor ever going to touch mine. Ever. Gonna touch mine. And I'm willing to put mine. We go to these cannabis shows, let's do blind tests. Let's not let somebody's homeboy who grew this test the weed and then mark and check on the card. Let's do a blindfold test, and let's just sit some weed up in there and don't tell them nothing, and smoke mine and smoke theirs, hands down. And then we not going to say smoke it right then and there and tell me in 2 seconds. Because, no, it hasn't even taken effect on you, right?
Right.
And this is where things go wrong when they talk about, the Cannabis Cup winner. No, you didn't win shit.
No, and this is where I thought of this earlier because I was thinking the MLM thing, and I was just thinking of other industries. What you're saying also hits something that I thought of. Really, there has to be a Michelin of weed, right? So, like... There just has to be. Like, if you want to claim that your shit is that shit, there has to be someone who has the approval and the real stamp to say that your shit is that shit. Otherwise, it's subjective to friggin' everybody.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, your mom's going to say mine's the best because she likes me. Your grandma's going to say yours is the best because your grandma. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need somebody with that. That's the Michelin star. Bang. We already say you go to California Cannabis. It's a Michelin rated place. No matter what the fuck you say, I said
Exactly.
it, and that's nobody else. Cause nobody else can give you a goddamn Michelin star but me. So who gives a shit what any of y'all say?
Exactly.
But I got a question for both of you guys, and it's back to the point of you saying the psychology of purchasing, right? Let's look at our history for a second. If you go back to the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act, do you know why they implemented that? Of the three medicines that you had, cocaine, heroin, and marijuana, people were buying more cannabis tinctures because they were treating all type of things with it.
Mhm.
Again, like you just said, the psychology or whatever I want to use with it, no one has ever died from cannabis.
Right.
No one has ever overdosed from it. It's going to put your ass to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So they were able to use it with the freedom of knowing that I'm not going to die. I'm probably going to feel better the next day. So what the government did is they said, well, for every cannabis that is sold over the cocaine and the heroin, this is the tax burden that goes on to make up for that profit.
Mhm.
So we know from history that if you just literally left it up to the customer, like you said, his psychology is going to be, he going to use it for everything. It's that Chris Rock joke. What's wrong? Need some Benadryl. You're going to use cannabis for a headache. You're going to use it for PMS. You're going to use it for aches and pains. You're going to use it after a run. So again, when we get back to just the psychology of it, you can look at your history to see that the purchasing power, the purchasing behavior says that not only does this product work, it works for a plethora of conditions.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's interesting to bring stuff like that up because that just also bolsters the direction of where we need to take cannabis.
Yeah.
What it has to do is there has to be, and like you said, because we said so. Well, how do we know? Well, you have over almost close to 20 something years in the cannabis industry. Why would you not know?
Right.
I have 30 plus years in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
Why would I not know? Right. So you're going to take somebody's word who started growing 2 weeks ago versus me who been in the industry 30 years?
30 years.
So if I say something is what it is, you can damn near put a stamp on it. You might as well write Bible on that bad boy and put my lyrics in that bad boy because if I say it, it's because I know.
You know.
I know what I know, what I know, what I know. And can't nobody tell me different.
Yep.
Because I didn't experience it from the beginning all the way to present day, inside out, upside down, and all the way around. And I didn't seen everything in this industry. You know, things that I didn't think I could see.
Yeah.
But I see in this industry.
Yeah.
So what there has to be now is a level of people like myself stepping forward, like when the Jacks and the Ed Rosenthals, when Ed Rosenthal said this is it, that was it. When Mark Emery said these are the seeds that I'm putting out that y'all should buy, you bought those damn seeds. Even when Arian, way over in Amsterdam, said that this is the strain, when he had his Amnesia Haze, his Arian Haze, and his Carmelo Cream, and those were stamped as the shit back in the day. When we said OG Kush is the strain, when we said LA Confidential was it, when we said Granddaddy Purple was it, when we said Sour Diesel was it, when we said Headband was it, and we talking some old strains now. Y'all ain't even heard of this shit because y'all too young to know this. But when we talk about these strains right here, we talking put a damn stamp on it. You understand me? So we come from the air. And you still hear people today say, man, I wish I could get some of that good chronic we had back in the day. Why? Because you left away from what the good chronic was. The good chronic was here. California cannabis. It wasn't grown indoor. It was grown on these same farms that California cannabis is grown on. In Humboldt County was where that weed was coming from. And none of them hillbillies and hippies in that damn backwoods, they were not growing indoor weed. They were growing farm-grown weed. And all that stuff was either outdoor or a greenhouse. And let me tell you something. Back then, I knew this one dude. He lived on top of the hill, and he had a trailer on top of the hill. And when you walk, you know, you drive up to his property, and you get up on his hill, man, right there in front of his trailer was his whole crop. Oh, my God. When I say the most beautiful plants I ever seen in my life, and he was growing lavender. Oh my God, when I say silky, fluffy, I'm talking about it was just so beautiful, just already right there on the plant. You just wanted to grab it. It was like, it was just that phenomenal. This is full-blown outdoor weed that is bomber than probably any indoor weed that you could ever smoke today.
A picture out of High Times magazine.
Come on. Exactly. So this guy who was one of those live off the earth hippies. Man, that dude grew some of the best weed in southern Humboldt. Wow. And I bought every pound that I could potentially try to buy from that dude, you know. And he wasn't growing a whole lot because back then you didn't there wasn't massive grows, it wasn't big commercial grows.
You didn't need it to be because the price was right.
Oh, come on. There were more boutique, more craft grow. But let me tell you, this dude Kramer. Oh, did I say his name? My bad.
Yo, my man, is he still alive?
This dude grew some of the best weed in southern Humboldt, man. And I here to tell you, when I brought that weed back down to L.A. and Compton, let me tell you, them people was like, ooh, wee, Kylie, you got some more of this? You know what I'm saying?
So
best weed.
So, Virgil, I do want to talk about, and I think that's something that's so overshadowed, the cultivator component of cannabis. Most cultivators had a relationship with the earth, and literally the flowers that they brought forth was an expression of their love for the earth. Mm-hmm. So when you think about like cannabis, small batch cannabis, and bringing forth the best expression of this flower, you have to have somebody that's not only connected with the earth, but is living that life that now, because there's a spiritual component to growing cannabis. And, you know, I never ever say like this Walgreen model will work for this very thing. Like, if you really want to get the best of the best, you got to go back to the cultivator. How is he growing and how is his walk of life? Because all of that's going to show up in there. We know if you take stress into your room, your flower is going to be looking like this. And then you start thinking to yourself like, ooh, I bought that bad energy into here.
Straight up.
Yeah.
These are things that we don't even talk about, but yet the small batchers, we going to eradicate that from the future.
I love that, right?
Yep.
Because I'm going to give y'all an example y'all can understand. Because you're like, man, what are these cats talking about? They on some hippie shit. No. You go into your house and your wife is happy and cheery, and you bring that negative energy into your house, you're going to bring her energy down. Mm-hmm. Now, y'all know what I'm talking about because y'all done had girlfriends and boyfriends and this, that, and the other. Even sometimes your kids come in the house with that negative energy, and they bring your energy down. They be like, damn, I didn't sleep with you. I didn't wake up with you yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So that is some real stuff because you have to remember that plants are a living organism, a living being, and they receive all the energy. Some of us have music playing in our garden. Yeah. Up in Humboldt, I used to watch the kids run through the garden. Do you know how beautiful it is when you watch the kids run around playing, laughing, and just giggling and having fun?
Yeah.
So how you think them plants took to that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That makes you happy to see your kids running around having fun. You didn't think them plants was happy to see them kids running around having fun?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? That energy, and it made that weed thrive and grow, and you know,
almost non-existent anymore.
People don't, they don't understand
that.
Right. that is a part. It's not no hippie shit, y'all. This is real shit.
Yeah.
This ain't no, we hippies, but this ain't no hippie shit. This some real shit. And you got to understand that, like Keith said, very important. Man, love that you brought that up. Energy is everything. When I was up in Southern Humboldt just this week, up in Southern Humboldt, oh my God, so peaceful, so relaxing. Like I said, I don't even want to smoke weed in the city no more. You know, when I go up to Humboldt and smoke weed, oh my goodness, it's a whole different feeling. Why? Because my energy is shifting.
Yeah.
When I come down here, now I'm in the rat race. I'm in the hustle and bustle. My energy is different.
Yeah.
So when I'm consuming, and y'all know what I'm talking about, you consume marijuana with different energy, it's going to make you feel different each one of them times.
Period.
That's just what it is.
Period.
That's why they say even with psilocybin, when you take psilocybin, my brother told me, hey, man, because I've never had mushrooms. He say, hey, man, make sure you ain't got no kids running around messing your energy up and other people. If you do that, you go out in the woods and you draw the energy from the earth. He says, do not do that because, man, you will have the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
Bad trip.
Yeah.
Because you got all that negative energy around you. So we got to understand how energy really drives and it thrives around us.
Yeah.
And that's just for us to know to just for our own personal health, stress level, bringing negative energy. And I always tell people, man, don't bring that negative energy around me.
Yeah.
It's strictly positivity right here.
But see, I think also like I'm always conscious of the times that things are introduced. Like the world is wound up tight right now after COVID and the isolation. Like just look at some of the crimes that we're talking about. Kids murdering their parents, 12-year-olds, like kids murdering kids. Like at a certain point, guys, Mother Earth has to be prayed for. Mother Earth has to be healed. And it's going to take us, the inhabitants, to do it.
It's a purging period. It's a purging period, and we have to purge that, but we have to be a part of that purging period of bringing forth the goodness. And what we can do within our space as cannabis producers, providers, cannabis brands, is to start really talking about that holistic part of what we're doing. Like you say, Tony, it's not just all about the money. You know what I'm saying? But it's also about the backstory behind why you got involved with it.
Of course.
That's the importance of why you do what you do.
Of course.
That is the energy that is driven within the product that you service to the community. Because it comes with a different meaning behind. I'd rather buy yours than dude over there that just saying, oh man, I can get such and such for my pound, so that's what it is.
Right.
And I'm trying to charge $80 to $90 for an 8.
Yeah.
That dude I don't even want to mess with. And those cats I kicked up out my shop because you're not trying to service my customers at a some quality cannabis at an affordable price. You trying to hit somebody off over the head because you want to hype up your crap cannabis to make it seem like it's the shit. Yeah, well, it's shit. It's not the shit, but it's shit. You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking us back to Mother Earth and the basics and give us what's really doing for us. So,
and
you know,
I was going to add to that, you know, something about cannabis I like to add is almost like the saying where they say, those that think they know everything is when really you don't know anything, right? So I think it's the same thing with cannabis. I think when you're a heavy smoker like myself, I've been smoking since I was 12. I'm 42. I've smoked residue. I've smoked out of aluminum foil. I've smoked out of Arrowhead bottle. I've smoked out of pens walking to school. I've smoked out of apples. I've smoked out of everything. I've smoked everything, right? So I think it gets to a point too where even when I serve people behind a counter, I have to be real with myself, and I have to know that it's like the philosophy of once you think you know everything, you actually know nothing. It's the same thing with cannabis. Once you think that you know what cannabis is going to do for everyone, you don't know nothing because it's so subjective. I don't give a damn if Jack Hare is supposed to lift you up. It may not lift that guy up.
Exactly.
You feel me? I don't give a damn if you're saying there's an indica and it's going to put this person to sleep. It may not.
Right.
It's too subjective. The more you've smoked and the more you've been around it, the more you have to understand. Yes, there might be a majority rule. You might see more people gain energy from that, but it's not a totality.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
It has to do what you said. It's the psychology of it. Where's your mindset at that time?
At that time.
Because if your mindset in the right place, like I have to be conscious about when I do consume cannabis. I never want to consume cannabis in a tumultuous situation. Because it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's not going to feel well.
Yeah.
It's not going to be what cannabis is supposed to be. So, you know, it just like you don't drink alcohol in a tumultuous time because what it's going to do, now that liquid courage got you acting stupid. You know what I'm saying? And now you're going to be doing something you know you shouldn't be doing. You have to make sure that you are prepared right here. So like my brother was saying with the mushrooms, I'm not going to mess with that until I know that I'm right here. I'm in a space, a safe space. I'm in an environment that's very Mother Nature induced for me. I want to be in the land. I want to be where I know my peace is,
Right.
where my solace is, where my happiness is.
Yeah.
Because a damn show ain't in the city. I'm gonna tell you that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, because just like my brother, he go to Joshua Tree to do his thing.
Yeah.
Now, when he at Joshua Tree, oh yeah, he shrooms and got his whiskey, and it's going
Time and
down
place
with
for
him.
everything.
You know what I'm saying?
So
So
the party
so-
by himself, chilling, man. But he be in the zone though. With mushrooms, you don't need nobody else.
you don't need nobody. You just, hey man, you just living life. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So Tony, before we wrap this thing up, so y'all got to get y'all fun facts together while I'm rapping with brother
okay.
Tony over here.
Yeah.
So brother Tony, tell us something that you would want the public to know, mostly about your product. What would you want to premiere about your product that you want the public to know? Be it your alcohol or your cannabis or both.
I mean, I think my product is something that I bring to the table that's going to actually heal and do better things for you in life than just do recreational things for you.
Absolutely.
A lot of people smoke recreational weed just because it's there, you know, and I feel like there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm more of like, how can I help you be a better person?
Absolutely.
You know, how can I help you wake up with a smile instead of waking up on the wrong side of the bed?
Absolutely.
And so I really focus on what I'm doing. You know, it's like I've said before, nobody's hands touches my stuff but mine, because I can't trust anybody in the industry, like we were talking about earlier, you know, to do the certain things that need to be done so that it goes from A to B, you know, and gets delivered correctly.
Right on.
You know, and like when you're behind a counter, you're asking the questions of like, hey, what's going on with your day?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this? How are you feeling about that? And so you get down to the source of where you can actually provide something that's changing the world instead of just being another guy behind the counter.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I focus on that a lot. I don't forget about it. You know, Humbleism is something that's great. You know, and you have to go through it in order to know about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I'm 48 years old, so I know exactly where you're coming from and what you're talking about. I mean, I remember the days when I used to have a bag of dro in my pocket and the whole room would smell.
Oh yeah.
But those days are long gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because it's so commercialized now.
Yeah.
You know, and Humboldt County's got the best shit, you know, but at the same time, do you know what you're looking for?
Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So I mean, yeah, I'd like to just say, you know, I'm talking about my brand. I'm telling you what it can do, but at the same time, I want to introduce it to you as a gift.
Right on.
You know.
Right on. Now, Tony, where can we find you?
So right now I'm in Cake House in Vista.
Okay.
And
Shout out to
we're
my boy
actually
Saad real quick.
Yeah.
we're actually moving on to other stores in Chula Vista.
Okay.
We're also moving into stores in National City.
Okay.
And you know, I want to expand out here to LA. You know, it's just the process. you know?
And I also would like to help you get into the social equity locations that are now being I'm
Thank you.
teaching in the social equity
In San
program
Diego, right?
space. I'm sorry.
The ones that are opening in San
That
Diego.
are open in San Diego,
Thank you.
San Diego County right now, and then we're going to double back with the city.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so they have 35 licenses, but I think only 13 are going to be released, 13 to 16 released. So if we can
Absolutely.
get your brand in these social equity locations to help, you know, because it's all about us networking together.
Absolutely.
One helping each other.
Thank you.
I like what you're doing. I like your concept. I like the energy that you put into it. And I think that this brand will go far in the cannabis industry. You stay moving in the direction that you're moving
Thank you.
in. So
Big
we
time.
appreciate you blessing, you know, our mics and you know, our Token Tuesday.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Always good to see a brother in the industry, you know, from the ground floor starting
Yeah.
out and doing what he's doing.
Yep. 08 ain't just yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was
08
a
ain't
process.
yesterday.
But you here.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. It took a minute, but you here, and that's what counts. And so we want to give you as much support as we
Thank you.
can
Thank you.
to help you propel forward, because it's all about, each one reaching one. You know what I'm saying? And in return, each one teach one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right? So
I
we're
live by
going to
that.
jump right into the fun facts. Our fun fact of the day, I'm going to go on and kick
I
mine
got mine
out.
ready.
Fun fact of the day is Marijuana Tax Act was put down in 1937, which known as the Cannabis Stamp Act. And it actually has a stamp on here. And it was passed on August 1937. It was the first federal, and Keith spoke about it, regulation of cannabis in the United States of America, 1937. The act imposed a tax on the sales of cannabis, making it difficult for legal businesses to operate and effectively restricting its availability. Kind of similar to what we kind of seeing right now today, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's almost like they recreated the 1937 tax stamp in the form of Prop 64.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I tell you, if you look at your history, you can tell you the tricks that the devil gonna use. I mean, like he that smart.
Absolutely.
So
And then you absolutely correct about that. I don't know why I thought about this, but you got your fun fact?
no, go ahead, babe.
Okay, I thought of something because I know you're saying they're the only one to keep your hands on your product.
Yep.
That's what's crazy about cannabis, though, right? That's why the Asian people are doing what they're doing.
Yep.
That's why I love all the philosophies of what we do in this industry being so broad. Is because when you mention it in that type of way, what I think about is a restaurant, right? So I almost think about like a person that is like very, because you got to understand, like to scale, your hands can't be the only ones involved, right? Because it's going to be impossible to believe that not everyone's going to have your touch.
Right.
So the only fields where it's like your touch means everything is like cooking.
Cooking. Absolutely.
Right? Like cooking is one of the only things where it's like the chef matters. Like I go to that restaurant because that guy's back there that made this, right?
Exactly.
So in the cannabis industry, for that to be very like powerful, it would be interesting for it to shift in a way where, because again, for your hands to be the only ones that matter, it'd be interesting for it to shift in a way where people would go somewhere where a person like himself is like making something right then and there for you, because
which means his hands
because
truly
it's
matter.
my hands truly matter.
That's a good
See, but to
analogy.
like then scale something, it becomes tough because your hands aren't every one.
Now
And
that also goes back to the cultivator, right?
Yes.
Because when we start
Yes.
talking about the
Exactly.
cultivator, right, his hands really matter.
hands really
And
matter.
a cultivator can scale
Yeah.
where his hands are really literally almost the only hands that touch that crop, right? And even when you think about on my farm, which is what, about 14,000 square feet that I grow on my canopy from this side to that side, there's only one cultivator other than myself that touched that farm.
Yeah.
And so our cannabis not only is consistent, but it's done with care and love because we love what we do.
Yes.
Like the passion. If you just came on our farm and watch how we work on that farm, like I was on the farm slinging chicken shit in 707.
Yeah.
Right. And Daisy's which is Daisy's there. Shout out to Daisy's. Daisy's is a we buy a lot of our product from Daisy.
It's like a hydroponic store.
Well, sort of, kind of, but Daisy got everything.
A nursery.
So it's a nursery plus a hardware store at the same time. So they got everything, one-stop shop.
Right.
And you know,
like a
shout
Home
out to
Depot.
Daisy, because Daisy back in the day used to be doing it off the hook. But that's, you know, getting our product. I'm out there slinging and getting my beds and tilling my beds and watering my other plants. It's like, it was so peaceful to be out there and do that. It wasn't hard. It's hard work, but it wasn't work.
Yeah.
When you love what you do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's to be able to provide to people the love of what we do.
Yeah.
That's why I know can't nobody touch, man, what we doing out there.
No.
Yeah.
Because there is such a love and passion put into that product.
For that. Yeah.
Strictly. And you're gonna feel it when you consume it.
Absolutely.
And I guarantee you that high gonna hang on you for a long time.
Yeah.
It ain't no 45-minute high, so get ready for a ride.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, on the
Keep-
back of my bottles, I don't know if you guys have read the back of my bottles yet, but it says, I am giving you a piece of my soul to ignite the light inside you.
Oh, that's hard.
You
That's
know,
awesome.
I like
and
that.
Yeah.
it's just something that I feel like I'm giving you some energy, man, so you can have this day be brighter, this life be faster and easier on because every day we wake up and we're just up and down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and then but before you know it, you're like, I'm paying rent just to lay my head at night.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have something that you're doing for a purpose, it's not a job anymore. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, you go to Humboldt and you have a great time and you smoke and you're having, you know, a blast out there and your brother's going out there to the forest and having a great time too. Like, it's not a job anymore. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to focus on that because a lot of us lose focus on that.
Absolutely.
And then we start every day like, I got to get up and I got to do this appointment. I got to do that appointment. It's not about, you know, trying to please the world. It's about trying to please as many as you can.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, Keith, kick your fun fact off because we're going to wrap this show up for the night.
Yeah, Keith,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying?
So my fun fact is this: cannabinoids are natural compounds found in the cannabis sativa plant, with around 160 being identified. Now, what you got to understand about that is they don't have technical equipment that can actually register some of these cannabinoids, but we know that there are 150. Now, the only reason why I bring that up is we've been talking about how these cultivators can grow the weed different ways to get more of these cannabinoids to show up, to be detected, right? If we allow a market to be established where customers could come and say, hey, I'm dealing with this, CBG, it'll help you focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a cannabinoid that I got this plant to express itself to help a person that can't focus. PTSD, a person that's dealing with something, continue on, is almost like the enemy is holding your head and you can't get past that thought. It'll help break that loop and allow this person that escaped to now raise his vibrations up and get a new vision.
Absolutely.
So we have to understand that we don't even know everything about this plant. We are still apprentice of this plant.
Absolutely.
And what we can't do is regulate it to the point where you're not helping the audience. Like I tell people all the time, as I understand how people use this tool, then I can better serve them.
Well, I think that's going to take, it's almost like reading the Bible. You know, you can read the Bible over and over again and again and again and again, and 40, 50 years later, you're going to see something different that you read in that Bible, and it didn't apply to you then, but it does apply to your life now, and so on and so forth. So it's ever evolving.
It's ever
I
evolving.
believe cannabis is ever
Yeah,
evolving.
and you could go from Christianity to suddenly convert to Islam because you
Exactly.
don't really fuck with what you thought you fucked with.
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's like you said,
Ever
changing.
evolving and ever changing. Wherever you are going in your life and it takes you in that journey and it's in a positive light, then always support that and commend that.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up tonight. And thank y'all for tuning in to Token Tuesday. Tony, thank you for blessing
Thank you
the
for having me,
microphone, brother.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate having you. Y'all go out and support this
Yes.
brother. He's what we would call that craft cannabis brand right there.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that he's able to, we want to support the brother and make sure he's able to continue to keep pushing that love out. Also, if you tequila drinkers, grab his tequila. You know what I'm saying?
You can find it on strictlylittequila.com
Strictly Lit.
and cannabis at strictlylit.com.
Right on.
Okay,
And-
okay.
And so it's Strictly Lit.
Strictly
So
lit.
when y'all want to get lit, Strictly Lit is the place to go get
Straight
lit.
up.
Thank you.
All right, y'all subscribe. Just hit the button down at the bottom. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We on Spotify. We on Apple. We on everything. We on every streaming channel. So tune in next Tuesday to Token Tuesday, where you got real cannabis players. We always going to give you real cannabis issues.
Absolutely.
Until next Tuesday, we going to holler at y'all. Peace.
Peace.
Token Tuesday, it's what we do. We just sit around, smoke a pound, and talk about what we do in the cannabis world. We gon' let you know how the business go on a brand new show. Token Tuesday, show you